Hey, hi, how are you? I hope you are all well. If you are new around here, then hello, nice to meet you. And if you're returning, thank you very fucking much for coming back. If you haven't been here before, then hello, my name is Alana. I am a 30-something Scottish lady, and I like to ramble a lot of shite about usually skincare and makeup, the odd hair care thing, and the odd travel vlog too, but there's not been a lot of that this year, we already know. I have actually already filmed this video, and then when I went into edited video was like 40 minutes long, and I was like, fuck no, that's just too much, that's too much. If you haven't been here before, then here's your word of warning to let you know that I do like a sweary word. I'm Scottish, it's part of the vocabulary here. If you're not into that kind of thing, completely understand if you just want to head off. If it does seem like your kind of thing, you seem like you want to watch a little bit more of me, there's a little button down here that you can subscribe to. By all means, I completely understand if you don't want to be committed quite yet. There will be other videos that you can go and see. By all means, if you want to make that decision and think, don't know if I want to watch any more than 5 minutes of this cunt. As I said, I'm sorry, I gave you your word of warning. Then I completely understand, but there is a sub button down there if you fancy it. So this video is going to be my second attempt now at products, or sorry, no, brands. It's going swimmingly already, never promised you I was a professional, but this is going to be brands I am not going to be purchasing from in 2021. Now this has been inspired by Cara C. She is a wonderful, wonderful YouTuber here on the platform. I think she is fantastic. I will link her channel up here because I think she does wonderful things. And I did see she'd done this during part of her Caramas just in the lead up to Christmas. But I'm also going to give you a little backlog just before I get started on the actual brands, because I think I need to explain a little bit about me and my relationship with YouTube before I can tell you all the brands that I don't like or I'm not going to be supporting this year or buying from this year. So if that sounds like your kind of thing and you would fancy watching that, also grab yourself tea, coffee, water, whatever the fuck you like, and just keep on watching. Alright, so as I said, there's going to be a little bit of backstory to this because I feel like, also, can I just say today, we've got a lot more natural light, which is beautiful, but also there's snow. I can look right out my window and there is snow on the tops of my hedge and it looks fucking mint, mate, absolutely mint. Also, I do have a biscuit again today because, you know, it's January and why the fuck should we be dieting? I've got myself a dark chocolate covered ginger snap. Oh, fucking love them. Love a biscuit. Always will love a biscuit. Think they're fucking delicious. Alright, so I want to give you a little bit of, I've probably got black chocolate in my teeth now. I'm also trying a new teeth whitener. I told you, I love a fucking tangent. This is why I refilmed this. What the fuck are you doing? Anyway, so yes, the backstory to this. The backstory is I have watched YouTube, we're now in the year 2021, for the better part of a decade. Has to be a decade, easy. I lived in London when I was 20 to 21, and at that point, you know, I didn't have money to go out and do things. But I did have a Wi-Fi connection and I did have a laptop, and I used to sit at home and watch a lot of YouTube. So I've been watching it for a very long time. With all that being said, I have watched it go from people literally sitting with, I don't even, like a webcam, not a camera. You didn't have a separate camera, you done it on your laptop, on your webcam. People using the webcam on their laptop, right up to now where we have really top-notch, like, studio quality things going on YouTube, right? And in the beauty space in particular, I've seen a lot of kind of rise and fall. I've seen a lot of people who rose and then stayed static, and I've seen, you know, there's obviously a lot of drama around some really, really big channels. And the reason I wanted to just have a little backstory here is because personally, when I was all those years, many moons ago, watching the beauty YouTubers or watching people who were just fucking talking about makeup, that's all they were doing. The likes of Sparkage. I've mentioned Leisha before because she was probably one of the first people I was like, I'm going to watch video after video, I'm going to subscribe to you, and I'm going to keep watching all of your channel stuff. I don't watch her as often as I used to, but I do remain subscribed because I think I've pretty much watched her over 10 years. I watched her, like, she has a daughter, Violet, and I've watched all of that, the progression of her little girl growing up. And to me, you do feel a little bit of a personal connection. Now, there is a specific name for that. I think Jen Loves, she had mentioned there's a special name, something to do with psychology, with that, like when you feel a connection to that YouTuber, but it's a little strange because you really don't know that person. And then you've got people who are in the tens of thousands realm, then people in the hundreds of thousands, and then people in the millions, and I'm talking 5, 6, 7 million, which is way more. Like, I can't even, that baffles me. Like, if you get to 1 million, like, fuck me, but if you can get to of several millions, that to me is mental. I probably watch the majority of the time now the people who are in the tens of thousands, people who are in the just hundreds and thousands, and the odd person who is in the 100,000s realm. I don't think there's anybody I watch currently, anybody like that I don't tend to really tune into anymore. And through all the years, I watched people, and the thing is, right, so I feel like YouTubers now, they talk about the beauty community and they talk about this and they talk about that, and it's pretty much like it just started in 2016. 2015, 2016, they're like, that's really when everything, and I'm like, fuck off. Like, I know, I'm sorry, but I'm going to be 34 next, well, 2 weeks time. I'm going to be 34, and I'm like, just because that's when it started for you, when maybe you were in your mid to late teens or early 20s, and now you're mid to late 20s and you're like, oh yeah, I remember back in the day. No, fuck off. Like, it was only 5 years ago. Like, oh, it just baffles me, and it does annoy me slightly when people are saying things like, I mean, when this all really, I mean, when we knew people before then, and I'm like, yeah, but back in 2009, like, fucking circa the beginning of YouTube, there was still these people, they just weren't assholes. I'm gonna be honest with you. And all the people that have flourished into, I'm gonna say it, the Jeffree Stars, the James Charles, the Jacqueline Hills, all these big ones, Tati if you want to include her as well, where all the drama surrounds, those are people that, yes, they must have been popular for a reason. I have never watched though. I have watched the odd Jeffree Star video over the years, I've watched the odd Jacqueline video over the years. I've never been subscribed, I've never ever been bothered, and part of it is to do, I mean, those people are of the same age to me, but James Charles as well, he's a lot younger than me, and I just can't connect with him. I don't have anything in common with him, and it kind of rubs on me a little bit when there's people who are much younger than you telling it like it is to someone who's much older than them with a little more life experience. And I bet your bottom dollar there's people who watch me who are in maybe their 40s or 50s, and they'll be like, girl, that fucking shit has been around for years. Like, what? My mum would do it to me. My mum's nearly 70. She looks amazing for it, but mum's nearly 70. And I know for a fact she'll be like, oh, they fucking done that years ago, a lot of shite. Like, that's always been, that's been done a million times. I'm giving you the preface to, I never watched a lot of these people, so with the view of where we're going from here and the brands that I'll not be buying, gives you a little idea of what my view of YouTube was and why I've never bought into a lot of these types of things, and I never really bought into the hype around a lot of things, and it's just, for me, it's always been that way. This isn't like I've decided all of a sudden this year I'm giving up or I'm no longer supporting a brand because of any one thing they've done. I just was never into them. So whether that makes this video a little bit more boring or not, I have no idea. But we're gonna go with it. So now, you know, 10 minutes in, and stay tuned to the fact that I'm gonna tell you what I don't want to buy. Alright, so I'm gonna put this one under a little bit of an umbrella category. Is that an umbrella? I don't know. An umbrella. An umbrella. I was trying to do two umbrellas, sorry. An umbrella category, right? It's not an umbrella category in the way that these brands are all under the one business. It's not that. It's not the terminology I'm meaning. What I mean is, these are brands that, as I say, back 10 years ago, they were starting to become quite big. And in America, they were starting to become quite big. And I was hearing about all these maybe drugstore brands that we just didn't have here in the UK. So back when I was living in London, I worked for Benefit. And I worked there because I was working in fashion, but internships don't pay very well, and I needed a part-time job too. So I worked for Benefit. And at the time, that was really blowing up, and it had just really came to the UK, and it was just really kicking off in the UK. Some other brands at the time that I'm going to mention, Urban Decay, MAC as well. MAC was another one where it was kind of like, MAC was very much a makeup brand, like a makeup artist brand, that's what I mean to say. And if you watched any of these people on YouTube, again, you probably had a lot more access in America than we did here at the time, and people had the old-fashioned MAC palettes, the black ones, just plain black. It said MAC on the front, and there used to be videos on YouTube. This is what YouTube used to be about, and it was like, it would teach you how to pop the shadows, like basically say this is a set of straighteners, like GHDs. It's good, isn't it? And they would teach you, like, put your GHD on, just set your shadow on it for just a little minute or two, maybe 20-30 seconds, and then take it off and then prise it out with the tweezer, and then you can put it into your palette, because if you can't buy it in a pro shop and the pro shops weren't available, that's how you can put them into a palette. And also, please feel free to use your tweezers to actually prise out the section that gave you 12 shadow shades so that you could fit more shades in it. And that's what it was about. That's what beauty YouTube was about. And you used to watch these people who would be like, here's my pink MAC palette, and here's my neutral MAC palette, here's my darks MAC palette, my blues, my greens, my orange, and they would have so many shades, and you would just see all these lines and collections of MAC palettes. And for me here in the UK, who had very little access to MAC shops, wow, it was just amazing. It was like, oh, MAC, like way back in the day before that, we had TLC singing about, all makeup the MAC can make. We didn't even know what MAC was, and we were singing those lyrics when I was a wee girl, and we didn't even fucking know what MAC was. I'm sure there was people older than me at the time that did, but at the time I didn't fucking know what MAC was when I was singing that. MAC, Benefit, Too Faced. Even now I want to put things like Tarte and Becca into that bracket, because again, Becca, like, I would never have heard of Becca before, and I didn't know anything about Becca until I started seeing Champagne Pop on YouTube. And that probably was around, you know, 2014 to 16, yeah, that probably was. But I didn't watch Jaclyn Hill, I knew nothing about Jaclyn Hill, but the people I watched obviously did, or had heard about this collab and knew what was going on in this big YouTuber, and then they obviously seen it, and then they were talking to me and trying to sell it to me. Well, not trying to sell it to me, just telling me about it, which was in turn selling it to me. So I felt like, I was like, okay, Becca, need to try it. Did we have it in the UK? Did we fuck? So then, in the last, I want to say 2 to 3 years, Boots, which is our version of an Ulta, have really stepped up their game. And we have got now so many brands that you can get in America that we just never, back when I was 21, I would have died to have got my hands on some of this stuff. But now, I'm a bit like, not really that fussed for it. Becca, what did they do other than the highlighters? Like, I have no idea. I have no other interest in anything that they've done, and anything I see them release, I'm like, meh. So I want to put them under an umbrella term, these kind of big brand companies. I also want to put like the Cliniques into that, because again, Clinique is something that I was at 15 years old, we could get our hands on it. But Clinique was one that I remember at 15 years old, 15, maybe 16 or 17 years old, coming back a holiday and getting the duty-free starter kit with Clinique, which, what wonderful better thing could you have for your 15 to 17 year old skin than Clinique? And I paid for it with my own money. It was holiday money, and I was like, oh, I am the shit, oh my god, I'm using Clinique. And I went, you know, after that, from like 17 to maybe 20, I was like, oh, I go to Clinique, and the little Clinique lady, she knows what she's talking about, she's wearing a white coat, clearly. But now, in hindsight, I'm like, well, there were just ladies that were employed by Clinique or Clarins or whoever, and they were just told what the brand was telling them to say. I'm sure there was some that had some scientific knowledge and backing behind them, but the majority were probably just people like me who was working in Benefit being told, this is how you do things, and this is what's filtered down from management, let's face it. Clinique, I have to say, they're a bit yawn, and I feel like MAC's a bit yawn now as well. They're companies that they're the last people that I look at for inspiration now. They're the last people that I'm like, oh, it's just so boring. Like, I don't think they've released anything that I think is very interesting. Now, this list is not exhaustive, and also if later on in the year I come out and I'm like, look at this Clinique product, don't fucking shout at me, because bitch is allowed to change her mind. But there's the odd Clinique thing that I would still use, like their Take the Day Off Balm. It does the job, it's really, really nice, but I can get a cheaper alternative for it now, so why did I bother? I don't. There are things that I think they've got, they're tried and true, and that's probably why they still get custom. But I think as time goes on, these brands are going to struggle a little, because people like me, who when I was younger, these were like up here, unless you've got a child who's like watching you use the same thing. And even in saying that, my mum always used oil of Yuli, oil of Olay it is known now, but it was Yuli when I was younger, and I never ever have used that in my life, even though my mum to this day will still use it, and has always had it on her dressing table, in our cupboard, whatever, and I've never ever used it. So you kind of wonder where the market's going to go, don't you? Whether people are going to keep buying these products or not. Another couple of companies that I want to throw into that umbrella terminology are Too Faced and Smashbox. Again, two companies that I remember Too Faced when they first came out with their lip injection. It was in like, it had a little black lid, little clear bottle, it was pink, fucking burnt the mouth off you, but felt like it done the job probably. I can't say it was probably very good for your lips, but it felt like it was doing something. Those kind of things, plus I think Too Faced came out in 2008, I want to say, and then things like Smashbox as well, which are a little bit more recent. But I can honestly pull my hands up and say I've never bought anything from Smashbox. I think they're one of the most boring companies in the planet, or the world. I've never seen anything that they've brought out that I've thought, I desperately want to try that. I think they're a big snooze. So with all that being said, I'm going to move on to another company now, which I think will come as no surprise to you, but also ties in with that whole what I was getting from American YouTubers all those years ago, and that is Morphe. Again, Morphe, obviously we know at a certain time throughout the last decade, was being shilled by a lot of certain people, and Jaclyn Hill would have been one of them. And again, I didn't watch Jaclyn Hill, but whoever was watching Jaclyn was then telling me about Morphe, and Leisha was probably one of them, about Morphe brushes, Morphe palettes, all this kind of stuff. And I remember when I was much younger going onto the Morphe website and being like, well, I'll just pay for shipping, these could be really good, everybody's talking about them, oh my god. And then just like never done it. But Morphe is one of these brands where I initially thought it was all about the brushes. I really wanted to try the brushes, I thought they looked really interesting. And as I say, in the last couple of years when they've been available to me and I've went in store and I've seen the stand, I'm like, I couldn't be less interested. The reason for that being is exactly because of the people that they had marketing. If Morphe had stayed just as successful because it was good stuff and a lot of different variants of influencers were talking about them, I suppose, maybe I would feel differently. But because it was a certain type of influencer who, yes, I'm going to include again the J Stars, the Manu NUAs, the Jaclyn Hills, the James Charleses, and you know what? Everybody there apart from Manny, they've all started their name with a J. Maybe that's a sign. I wrote that down on my paper, like JC, JS and JH, and I was like, maybe they're all just dicks. Start with a J, I don't know. But I just was pure like, oh my god, like I've never actually clocked that before, I'm that thick. But these people are not people I want to buy from. Their market is much younger. I have no interest whatsoever in buying anything from these people. And I think that whole face bake, full face, slap, drag-esque makeup, love it, think it's great, and if you do that every day, you do you, and fucking good on you. Personally though, I feel like they completely forgot about an area of the market that is so important, because we fucking learned from the women that came before us, or the men that came before us, and people who are a wee bit older, people who are 30 plus or 40 plus or 50 plus, how dare you like only market to young people? That I find a little bit and that doesn't sit well with me. And from that I'm going to move on to another brand that is actually based more here in the UK. I think was more secondary to the US, and that is Revolution. Now Revolution is under the umbrella of Tam Beauty. They do people like, is it Makeup Obsession? They do Revolution Pro now as well. They do MUA, which is just Makeup Academy, and Superdrug. They've got a lot of I Heart Revolution as well. It's another different little derivative. I own a few Revolution products. I think over the years they've released a few good things. I'm not going to deny it. I've got two palettes. One is the chocolate bar mint chocolate chip one, and one is the rose gold mini chocolate bar palette. Obviously they have done a lot of copycat makeup over the years as well. But in hindsight, I didn't necessarily think that was a bad thing. They were copying really, really big brands. Now it's a bit questionable, because now I think they are copying slightly smaller, more indie brands, and sometimes also ethnically owned brands. And they have a bigger market, and I don't think that's particularly right. I don't think that's a good thing to be doing. But from my point of view, as someone who was never going to go out and buy the Too Faced chocolate bar palette, but here they were with a orange toned version, a black toned version, a gold toned version, a cherry toned version, a fucking mint toned version. Here they were with all this selection. I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna give that a go. The 2 palettes that I own, I think work well for the price of them, and I do like them, and I have continued to use them. Will I buy from them again though? No. 2 reasons for that. 1, the ones that I've just mentioned. 2, actually probably 3, but let's get into it. 2, the fact that it's all very Claire's makeup, and I think because they do copycats, there's a lot of like, okay, so Revolution is just a straight up copycat. The down to the bottle, down to everything was like Tarte, the Tarte foundation, the Shape Tape, everything was very, very copycat from that side of things. They do a lot of copycat of Charlotte Tilbury as well. And so for that reason, I feel there isn't cohesion in the brand. There's not like a theme running through the brand. Whether that bothers anybody, I don't know. But to me, I'm just a bit like, ugh, it's just like you're just trying to be something you're not. They've obviously got I Heart Revolution, which is the more Claire side of things. And that is the super duper plasticky stuff. And my tastes have just changed over the years. The chocolate bar palette and all that kind of stuff, when it was at its height, maybe would have been something I'd have been like, oh, I'll maybe go and look at that. I never purchased it, but my eye would have been turned towards it. And now I don't tend to look at things like that. I prefer a slightly more sleek packaging, a little bit more cool girl. Dickhead, I know. But you know, that like Victoria Beckham type sleek packaging, I quite like a little bit of that. But also, brands like Kaleidos, for instance, I think their packaging is so interesting, but it doesn't need to be big and bulky in Claire's makeup. It's just quite sleek still. It's very interesting, like it's artistic. Does that make sense? And obviously their shadows are phenomenal, so that makes it much easier. But I like that kind of packaging as opposed to the over-the-top, like kiddie looking makeup, and that's just a change of preference. And lastly, I am going to speak again about the fact that they also really turned away from a mass market of older women, and that really bothers me. I myself, as I've said before, I'm 34. I am by no means old, not at all, but equally I am older than that of teenage and early 20s, etc. And I feel like Revolution makeup as a brand, Tam Beauty as a brand, they seen that they had popularity in the youth market, in the YouTube market, and they took that and they ran with it, and that's great. It's obviously worked for them. I can't knock them. Business is business at the end of the day. But I remember for a fact Michaela McDade talking about the fact that she'd been in talks with Tam Beauty. She'd worked with them before. She's a successful YouTuber and has been for over 10 years. And they basically like put this little palette under her nose, tempted her, and then started to palm her off a little bit. Certainly you should go and watch Michaela's videos on the topic. She's done videos on the topic and she'll be able to explain it a lot better than I can. But it's just a little bit like they dangled this carrot in front of her, and then when they realised Michaela was a little bit older, had some kids, her audience was a little bit different, and her audience was a little bit older, that actually we're gonna just ghost you. It's not even that we're gonna just say no, we don't want to do this and be honest. They just ghosted her, and then went on to provide like lots of other collaborations with a lot younger influencers. And I just thought, that's fucking bad chat. That's bad chat, because there's a lot of people who watch Michaela, myself included. She's really good at her makeup. Okay, it's not drag style makeup, but there is a lot of us women out here who fucking just want to watch normal, everyday makeup that you would wear. I am a big mixture of both. I love watching people who do crazy, exciting, colourful makeup like Angelica does. I just feel like brands shouldn't be forgetting the people that maybe put them there in the first place. That's all I'm saying. Just because there's a trend came, don't jump on that trend and then completely forget the fucking majority age group at the other side. So that's why I will not be buying for Revolution. Now you can see why this dragged on a bit, can't you? Another one that I'm just going to throw in here at the end is anything by the Kardashians, to be honest with you. I've never watched the Kardashians. I don't really know anything about the Kardashians. I know who they are. I know who they are because of celebrity news here in the UK, and I think we probably see a little bit less of them here in the UK, but over recent years probably not so much. But yeah, I just have no interest in them. I have never watched an episode of the Kardashians. I don't know anything about them really. For that reason I don't dislike them, but they are also not my aesthetic. They are not what I think I would like to be like. Fillers, all that kind of stuff, contour, all that kind of stuff. There is fucking nothing wrong with wanting to look at Kim Kardashian and think she's fucking absolutely stunning, I want to look like her. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't look at her and think that way. And I'm not for a second saying I'm better looking than Kim Kardashian. I mean, who the fuck would try to kid here? But she's also not somebody that I look at and I think, God, wish I really looked like her. There are lots of other people that I do look at and think, God, I would love to look like you. You are stunning. But she is not one of them. Yeah, they're just not my thing. The lifestyle they portray, the constant lavish luxury and need for a lot of materialistic things isn't my thing, and I've never been interested in any of their makeup, any of their brands, any of the fragrances, any of that shit that, what's the one in the middle? Courtney? See, I know who they are, I'm not that daft. Yeah, she had one of these like almost Alicia Keys type situations where she was selling candles and lifestyle shite basically. So I'm not into that either, and I won't be buying anything from any of the Kardashians. Now, I've kind of mentioned a lot of brands there. I'm now going to again talk about a kind of umbrella terminology, but I'm feeling very, very strongly about this, so get yourself prepared, strap in for this. It's MLMs. Multi-level marketing. I could do a whole video on this. I'm going to try and keep it short. It depends on your thoughts, views and opinions. If you are part of an MLM and you've been successful in it, then well done you. I'm not even well done you, well done for being lucky. You are lucky, that is it. MLMs are not nice. I don't like them. I don't like what they stand for. And my concerns recently about MLMs is I feel like there's a lot of kind of smaller MLMs or MLMs that have started to trickle into some mainstream stores. And then that almost legitimizes them. I feel they are most definitely legalized pyramid schemes. They prey on people who are vulnerable. And from that I mean maybe like single mums, military wives, that's another one that they're really high on. Maybe people who have health problems, which from a personal viewpoint, that one really fucking, that one really grinds my gears. Young women, students, stuff like that. More women than men, but men sometimes as well. And I just think, fuck you guys. I will never buy from an MLM. I have Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, why the fuck not? I'll put something here. It's the same as my channel name. You can go and check it out if you like. And the amount of messages I've got, especially last year because of the pandemic, and MLMs blew up. And the fact that there's MLMs who message me personally, people from MLMs, and they'll be like, oh, blah, blah, blah. And now I feel like they've got more tactics of they will leave you a voice note instead of a typed note because they know you're screenshotting it and putting it up and being like, fucking dickhead. But now they'll be like, hey babe, like I've just been looking at your oh my god, like that's exactly what I'm like, and oh my god, and I noticed you love a bit of beauty, so that's good, you know, I know a little bit about beauty if you want to talk about it. And I'm just like, why the fuck are you in my inbox? Like, get yourself to fuck. I don't want to know you. I have actually had people, I swear to God, telling me they will cure my diabetes with just better nutrition and a better positive attitude. You're saying this to someone who not only has been diabetic for 21 years, but who's also a nurse, dickhead. Like, fuck off, get yourself to fuck. It's bad chat. And the thing is, see the people who are successful in it, they maybe already have a really large following. I've seen people in my locale, I'm not gonna lie, who've got maybe 10,000 followers and then all of a sudden they're fucking airborne consult. Fuck off. Because obviously you have a following of 10,000 people who are gonna fucking eat up the shit you're spewing to them. That is fucking bad chat. I seen Vicky Pattison, who, for anybody who doesn't know who Vicky Pattison is, if you're in the UK, you will do. She's a kind of celebrity reality TV star, right? She was on this thing called Geordie Shore, which is the same as Jersey Shore, but it's based in Newcastle and we call Newcastle people Geordies. That's how it works. And basically I remember watching her over the last, let's say the 5 years mark. I've watched her on MasterChef, she's been on Celebrity Jungle, I've seen her in things like that. And actually, I was watching her thinking, she's quite a good lass, quite good fun. Actually, yeah, she's not bad. She's not the dickhead I thought she was. Until this year, or sorry, last year, when I noticed that she'd set up one of these travel agent MLMs. And she has over 200,000 followers on it now. And she is an influencer who is fucking marketing to people, which clearly won't make any money, and if anything, lose money. get yourself to fuck. I don't like MLMs, and I'm sorry if that means I'm going to lose a few followers on here or a few followers over on Instagram because of it. I would rather fucking stand to my guns on this. I work in a situation where I work with liver patients sometimes, people who are waiting on fucking news if they're going to get a liver or not, people who are desperate for any glimmer of fucking hope they can get because maybe their chronic illness has now become terminal. And I had an email from someone last year telling me about some skinny diarrhea tea shite that was going to detox the liver. Now what if that went to one of those patients? And they're holding on for anything at all. Fucking scumbag, I'm sorry. I'm getting particularly sweary now. Anyway, that is where we're going to wrap this up. If you ever see me speaking about something that you think, Alana, that's an MLM, please fucking tell me about it because I want to know. I am not an all-seeing eye. I don't know absolutely everything, but if I think there's a snifter of MLM, then I will be checking it out and I will not be purchasing from it. And if you see me mention anything that you think is, please, by all means, fucking tell me straight away. But anyway, woota. Fucking calm down. I'm gonna have another chocolate biscuit. But this is what this video, I'm going to wrap it up here. Hopefully I'm able to trim it down a little bit smaller. Hopefully you'll find it interesting. Let me know who you're not buying from this year, or if anybody I've mentioned you think I need to reevaluate or anything like that, then please let me know. Let me know your thoughts, feelings and opinions down below. That would be great. And otherwise I'll see you all again next time. Bye.